$1 million and the right to be called a champion. This is what 48 of the best Street Fighter players across the planet are competing for at Capcom Cup XI in Japan. And if you haven't had time to follow Street Fighter 6 Season 2, well, you've been missing out.
Y'all mans is dead. I slayed him. He's done. I'm the GOAT.
But don't worry, because in this video, we'll be discussing the top 10 players to watch and their stories going into the most important Street Fighter event to date.
But today, I proved myself.
Now, these are not in any particular order, except for the last few, and if you think I shafted your favorite player and their story, wait till the end to write your comments, and if I really did, call me out. Without further ado, let's get into the rest of the video. And with number 10, I'm going to cheat here and talk about a couple players here from Group C, and the first player I wanted to highlight is Kakeru, who wowed the world with his perfect parries at Gamers 8, now rebranded to Esports World Cup, and even top 6ing the very first EVO for Street Fighter 6. Losing to the next competitor we're about to discuss. With such a strong start to the season, it was disappointing he didn't quite make it into Capcom Cup last season, and at the beginning of Season 2, his main character JP was so nerfed, he switched to new DLC characters like M. Bison and Akuma for the season. But after Capcom decided to roll back some of the nerfs to his key moves like his anti-air, he went back to JP to qualify via his World Warrior event, and finally claim his spot in Capcom Cup that he failed to get last season. The other player I wanted to highlight in Group C is none other than Tokido. Recent inductee to EVO Hall of Fame, Tokido is a legend of the Street Fighter world and fighting games in general, but he didn't quite have great results in Season 1 of Street Fighter 6. Sure, he top 6'd EVO, but after that, not much for a player of his status. But now he's qualified by winning the Japan Super Premiere with his Ken, which is probably the most stacked offline event due to the sheer density of strong Street Fighter players in that region. And the reason why I wanted to showcase him is because Tokido is the centerpiece of a few rivalries in Group C. As I mentioned before, Kakeru lost to Tokido in the very first EVO for Street Fighter 6 in a down-to-the-wire set where Kakeru should have won. But due to an execution error in a final hit scenario, Tokido was able to clutch it out when it mattered most. Since then, their set count has evened out, with Tokido getting one more win at Frontier Cup in 2023, and then Kakeru winning at the LCQ for the last Capcom Cup as well as EVO Japan. So now, in this Group C, I'm sure both of these players are looking to settle the score. And like I said, the rivalries do not end there, because there's another player that Tokido is probably looking to even the score with, and that's JBM. Because in Red Bull Kumite 2023, which took place in South Africa, JBM's name took the world by storm by beating Tokido in a 1-5 with his Chun-Li, representing his region in South Africa, and showing the world that they can compete with the best of the best. But now JBM is on Tokido's home turfs, so let's see if it was just home field advantage or if JBM can prove himself once again with his newly minted Terry. And number 9, the player boomers love to hate, infamous for their aggressive playstyle that has no fear when it comes to burning all of his drive gauge. Love him or hate him, all you can do is watch. It's Noah the Prodigy. Noah qualified with his Luke at Blink Respawn in DR, Dominican Republic, outplacing other strong competitors such as Dual Kevin, Just Kid, Blaz, and Mena RD. He is also the highest placing North American player at Esports World Cup this year. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this is my dark horse pick to take it all. Even if he doesn't win, he will definitely ruin someone's day and is gonna make plenty of upsets. And on the off chance he does win, the Street Fighter world, aka X, the Everything app, will be set ablaze. Because if you're not locked into the scene, Noah has a lot of haters in the scene, not only because of his playstyle, but because a ton of smack talk he does, which gets him into some trouble, not gonna lie. But in any case, I'm excited to see his run. Will he be humbled or will he lock in to take it all? The next player is the best Guile in the world, and who am I talking about? Well, that has to be decided by a $10,000 money match, because there are 2 Guile players in this group. First, Kaba, a player who's been to several Capcom Cups across Street Fighter V and Street Fighter 6, and Knuckledew, a Capcom Cup champion. If you don't know, there's some beef going on between these two, because at Cream City Convergence, a CPT qualifier, Knuckledew claims that Kaba popped off on him, saying he's the best Guile in the world for beating him in just one set, when Dew has beaten him several times before. This money match never occurred, so instead, it's going to be settled here in Capcom Cup group stages. They both have other characters other than Guile. Dew has a DJ and Cammy, Kaba has a jury, and honestly, a Guile mirror match might be a snooze fest, but I do hope they play the mirror to settle this beef. The next player I have is known for expressing his negative opinion of the game, and so much so, random people in his YouTube comments will think he's just some scrub who is complaining about the game because he's not good at Street Fighter, when in reality, this player is a Capcom Cup champion.
I'm
I'm toxic, bro. This is what this game does to people. This guy is awful, but it's hard to stop me because it's SF6. This guy is terrible. He has not shown anything of any side of fighting game skill, let alone video game skill. I'm not even sure this guy knows how to play a video game besides SF6.
Yes, the next player we're about to talk about is Idom. Idom's displeasure for the game mechanics and stubbornness is somewhat cathartic and admirable to me, as he was able to persevere after an arguably poor adjustment to Street Fighter 6 and a resistance to switching to a character stronger than his current main Manon. He has now found his place in Season 2 by coming second at East Coast Throwdown, another CPT event, and qualified to Capcom Cup this year via his World Warrior Regional Finals. Since then, he's also won Genesis 12 to secure his spot for the Red Bull Kumite 8-person play-in to compete for a spot in one of the most stacked Street Fighter events of the year. Definitely rooting for Idom here as a former Manon main myself, as well as wanting to see someone win with just pure hatred and venom, but also doing it on his own terms by finishing the job with an off-meta pick like Manon.
Chad, it just feels good because, like, hearing all those ass niggas saying I was washed all the time, now they can shut the fuck up, man. I'm telling you. It's spite. This is all spite. Fuck them.
This player is a consistent name in the world of Street Fighter, boasting several first place finishes across his region's World Warrior events, as well as first place finishes with his Street Fighter League teams. However, one of the most coveted titles as a Street Fighter player and a fighting game player in general seems to elude him, that of an EVO title. Yes, the player we're talking about is Big Bird, and even though Big Bird is an extremely strong player, he has gotten second place at EVO twice, with his second one being this year at EVO 2024. In light of all this, Big Bird has still had an amazing season, winning DreamHack Summer, as well as winning every single one of his World Warrior events, except for the last one, because he DQ'd. Because he already qualified in the Capcom Cup via points by placing fourth place 4 times. With these great results and having 2 second place finishes at EVO now, I'm sure the competitive drive to carve his name into the world of Street Fighter flies higher than ever. Next up, we have the other Bird brother, Angry Bird, who had an incredible opening year of Street Fighter 6 with his Ken. He got second at Esports World Cup and won the first ever EVO for Street Fighter 6, which qualified him for Capcom Cup. Because of this early qualification, we didn't get to see much of his play for the rest of the year, as he didn't need to travel to events. And weeks leading up to the event, he started to discuss problems with his health that might affect his performance, even pulling out of Red Bull Kumite a few weeks later. Unfortunately, he had less than a stellar showing, not being able to make it out of his group, but to be honest, he was in Group F, the group of death. Fast forward to Season 2, Angry Bird has plenty of good showings, with a first place showing at the Mix-Up, 7th place at EVO 2024, getting 5th place at Esports World Cup, and finally he was able to punch his ticket to Capcom Cup via his World Warrior Regional Final event. However, on top of all this, he had a dominating season representing Ninjas in Pajamas in SFL EU. He had received the first leg MVP and second leg MVP award, as he didn't drop a single set using his Ken and Akuma. So, now looking sharper than ever, I'm very excited for Angry Bird to show us what he couldn't last year. The next player I have here was, in my eyes, completely unknown last year, but they made a name for themselves as they were the player to emerge from Capcom Cup's Group of Death, Group F. The player referred to as the dark horse of Group F, Lashar. Not only did he make it out of the group over an EVO champion, he also came out of the group on winner's side over Mena RD, the 2 times Capcom Cup champion. And he didn't just stop there, he ran this momentum all the way to a 5th place finish for the entire tournament. Lashar is originally from South Korea, but since then Tokido scouted him to represent Team Reject in Street Fighter League Japan with his Ed, where he had an incredible showing, receiving the highest point award, highest win rate award, and outstanding rookie award, as it was his first SFL season appearance. However, after an incredible showing all season, he had a heartbreaking loss in grand finals against Team Good 8's Kawano due to a routing error that certainly would have spelled a victory for Lashar. Unfortunately, this led to their team losing, and Lashar blames himself for Team Reject's loss to Good 8. Couple that with his performance at CPT Japan Super Premiere, where he had an astounding run, but fell short to his mentor and training partner Tokido. Sure, he qualified for Capcom Cup, but with these 2 losses, there's no doubt in my mind that he is determined to close out this season with redemption. The next player we have here is known for his insane reaction speeds and ability to beat players with one hand. The King of Fighters himself, none other than Xiao Hai, who is primarily known for being dominant in King of Fighters to this day, but proved that he can compete with the best of the best at Street Fighter by winning Esports World Cup. He accomplished this all while maintaining his reign over King of Fighters, as he came third in SNK World Championship 2023, second at EVO Japan 2024, and first place in EVO Las Vegas 2024. I'm excited to see his run because he's rocking a lineup of 3 characters much like a team in KOF, and if you've been paying attention, it seems like he's been taking Mai seriously. Mai is a new DLC character who is a guest from KOF. I think it would be pretty cool to see him represent a new character on the world's biggest stage. At the end of his Esports World Cup run, he had an anime moment where he proudly claimed that he could still do it at the quote-unquote old age of 35 and compete with the best of the best. And even though Esports World Cup is no title to scoff at, I'm sure he's looking to solidify his place in the world of Street Fighter by becoming a Capcom Cup champion. All right, before we get into the last two, I have a couple of honorable mentions that I wanted to talk about. The first two are Cryme and Blaz. These players are just very young. Cryme being 13 and Blaz being 15. That is just incredible. If they don't put in work here, they're obviously going to be absolute menaces in a few years. If not, they already are. Next, we've got Dual Kevin from the Midwest, who has been putting in absolute work this year. He's arguably one of the most consistent players in North America, rocking Rashid. He traveled to so many events. He just couldn't close it out, and then he finished it with his World Warrior event. So not much to say, just incredibly strong player, put in so much work, and I will not be surprised if he beats Tokido and Lashar in his group. Not gonna lie. Next, we got Broski. As a former Akimai myself, I love this dude, Capybara aficionado, and I'm really excited to see him put in work with an underrepresented character. And then we have Nephew, who is an extremely talented player. He quit Google to compete full time, and the results are showing. Placed second in the Singapore Super Premier, which is a super stacked tournament, and he won Jam Slam. I also covered him in a recent video about why pro players hate Mai. I think he'll be representing Mai in the tournament, at least in group stages. And if you want to know why, you should check out that video. The second to last player I want to highlight is the first and only 2-time Capcom Cup champion, the man who put Dominican Republic on his back, Mena RD. In the first season of Street Fighter VI, Mena RD was arguably the most consistent player on the planet, winning the first ever Street Fighter VI major tournament, CEO 2023, getting second at EVO, 5th at Gamers 8, 4th at CPT Singapore, 2nd at CPT France, all with his mixture of characters, primarily Luke and Blanca. All of season 1, Mena RD was the player to watch, because even after all this traveling and after all of these top 4 finishes, none of it amounted to a Capcom Cup qualification until he won his World Warrior East regional final. Like I mentioned before, he was placed in the group of death with his training partner Kaba, the EVO champion he lost the title to, Angry Bird, the Dark Horse Lashar, not to mention Ending Walker, the Prodigy of Street Fighter V, and Near the Boxer, who had an incredible set against Mena RD specifically. After being placed in such a stacked group, he barely made it out by the skin of his teeth in the loser's side. Mena RD was unceremoniously 3-0'd by Fudo piloting DJ, a character that has become sort of a kryptonite for Mena RD, as he's expressed frustrations with the character when losing to Zhen's DJ in a double jeopardy scenario at DreamHack Dallas, and in a much closer set at Esports World Cup, thus ending his Capcom Cup 10 run and his chance at $1 million. In the offseason of Street Fighter VI, he claimed victory over Red Bull Kumite in New York and EVO Japan, 2 extremely stacked events. However, they were not Capcom Cup qualifiers. He then secured his spot in Capcom Cup at Cream City Convergence at the beginning of the season with his Zangief, who since then has undergone some nerfs to tone him down a little bit. Since he qualified so early, Mena RD hasn't had many tournament showings, and with his mains Luke, Blanca, and Zangief taking a few nerfs, in his appearance on Brian F's Trash Talk podcast, he stated that he's been working on a few new characters for Capcom Cup, one of which he showcased at the SFL US Finals, where he took down Boos's Ken, a player who seemed to have Mena's number, with his newly minted M Bison, which helped him and Team Bandit secure a nice second place finish at the Street Fighter League US Finals. Having a mostly quiet season to prepare a new lineup of characters, not worry about traveling from event to event, and Fudo and his group, who dropped DJ for Ed, Mena RD seems primed to take his 3rd Capcom Cup win. There's no other way to present the final player other than this clip.
Let's go! I'm the fucking greatest! Nobody fucking with me, bro! The fuck out of here, bro! I'm the definition of clutch! Fuck out of here!
Yes, the final player to watch is Punk the God. As crazy as it sounds, this will be Punk's first Capcom Cup for Street Fighter VI, because while Punk was an extremely consistent player in Season 1, none of his amazing results, such as third place finishes at CEO, EVO, and Gamers 8, amounted to a qualification. The closest he's gotten was at the last chance qualifier, finishing in second place, losing to Problem X's Blanca, who he 3-0'd on the winner side of the bracket. In Grand Finals, Problem X was able to beat Punk 3-1, and then completely 3-0 Punk, thus securing his place in Capcom Cup over Punk. A result like this, amongst several others, such as his loss against Tokido in EVO 2017, sort of developed Punk the reputation that of a choke. Someone who has had such dominating performances all season couldn't close it out when it actually mattered. After the end of the LCQ, Punk had to go home and watch Capcom Cup from the sidelines. Come Season 2, we fast forward to EVO Grand Finals. Here we have Punk versus Big Bird, two players who have been in this position before. Both came up short and received second place at EVO, the most prestigious and well-respected tournament a player can strive to win. To set the stage, Punk previously 3-0'd Big Bird in Winners Final to secure his spot on the winner side of Grand Finals. They play out the match, and Big Bird resets the bracket in dominating fashion by 3-0ing Punk. And if you were a fan of Punk or just wanted NA to take home an EVO win in Street Fighter, you could feel the air get sucked out of that arena. All anyone could think is it happening again? Is Punk going to choke? Think back to the LCQ for Capcom Cup X. Punk 3-0'd Problem X in winner's side, and then Problem X 3-0'd Punk in grands for the reset and took it home, taking away his chance to be a champion, just like right now. However, in the reset this time, things were a little bit closer as they fought round for round, game for game, and in the final game, Punk up a round, Big Bird closes out the second round with a perfect.
He finds the hit. Final game! Final round!
We move on to the final round. Big Bird activates Rashid level 2, a move claimed to be so powerful that it insta-wins you the round. Punk takes a punish counter throw.
That's big damage! He's about to get burnt, but he parries it. Needs another throw. Punk is down 60%.
We need a low forward driver.
And suddenly, in a place no one expected, Punk lands a jump in on Big Bird, instantly putting Big Bird in the corner and turning this game around.
Forehead will do it. Big Bird gets hit low, and there it is! Punk gets his retribution, his revenge! He is your Street Fighter VI EVO champion!
And when it mattered most, Punk clutched up and proved to the world of Street Fighter that he wasn't going to choke this time. Punk was undoubtedly always an extremely strong player. However, as previously stated, has had some issues closing it out in high-stakes situations. However, now with an EVO title under his belt and newfound confidence, I'm sure he's looking to become the first ever Street Fighter player to win an EVO title and Capcom Cup in the same season. But the story doesn't end there. You see, Punk and his team FlyQuest won SFL US over the previous SFL World Champions, Bandits, headed by none other than Mena RD. Mena RD, at least during Street Fighter VI, has had a pretty dominating record over Punk. Well, this time, right before the biggest Capcom Cup to date, both players with their teams on their back for Grand Finals of SFL, Punk 3-0'd Mena. And if you look at Punk here, he's having a bit of a puffed up chest moment. You can barely make out what he's saying, but we'll try to decipher that in a bit because we're fast forwarding to another set between the two, one that is much closer, but Punk closes it out and beats Mena RD again, which then allowed the rest of FlyQuest to become the champions of Street Fighter League. While the team is celebrating their victory, Hollywood Rob TV hands Punk the mic to share some thoughts on his victory.
What's going on with that? You guys got a big rivalry or something going on?
It's no real rivalry. My rivalry is with the Dominican community, and I want all of them to know that they're very quiet right now, and now they know who's the best in the world, and they ain't gonna say nothing to me no more. Y'all mans is dead. I slayed him. He's done. I'm the GOAT. I don't want to hear nothing from the Dominican community no more, bro. Y'all come in my chat, y'all better worship me on Twitch. That's all I want to know. I don't hear none of y'all in this arena talking, none of that.
Okay. My goodness.
You see, Punk and Meta don't have beef with each other per se. They might be rivals in the game due to their excellent results, but I don't think there's any bad blood between the two players, at least as far as I could tell. It seems to be just kept in the game. However, Punk seems to have a lot of trolls in his YouTube comments and Twitch chat, and he's calling them out. He doesn't have a problem with the Dominican community as a whole, but he's telling them, hey, I got your guy, hold that. And let's just say Dominicans are a passionate people and a tight-knit community, because this is how Mena RD had to respond. He took Punk's tweet here and made it his profile picture. So now heading into Capcom Cup, not only do we have both of these players, arguably two of the best and most consistent Street Fighter 6 players, trying to claim their place as some of the GOATs of Street Fighter, but we also have some personal beef with emotional stakes, honor, and dignity on the line. And I absolutely cannot wait to see how it unfolds. Obviously, there are other amazing players at this event, but these are the ones that were the most interesting this season to me. If you have any player stories that I didn't showcase here, please comment them down below. Also, let me know who you want to take it all. If you know anyone who would find these stories interesting, please share this video with your friends. It helps the channel a lot. One last thing, it's my goal to hit 10,000 subs by the end of the year. So if you enjoyed the video and want to see more like this, please like and subscribe. I've been nugieboy. Thank you for watching my video. Enjoy Capcom Cup 11. And with that, I'm out.